What's up, everybody? We're back in person. It's first time in a couple weeks we've done it in person. We've had some scheduling conflicts, and I was on night shift, which no one likes. But now, Friday, we're half a day late, but I don't think anyone cared about that game yesterday. Unless you held the Denver defense, I don't think there was a whole lot to be happy about. But let's hop right into it. Last week, the average points scored was 116. 5 teams hit that mark. In the first game, neither of us did. It was Brian versus myself. Brian won 110 to 101. I had a disappointing day out of my Ravens. Lamar and Andrews only with 15 total. I'm not gonna get any wins with those two getting 15. Other side for him, Edwards-Helaire with 21, Jamal Williams with 28. I knew it was a bad matchup whenever Swift got hurt to play against Jamal Williams, but I'm still waiting for the Helaire shoe to drop. He gets half the carries. They split carries almost 50-50. He happens to be getting touchdowns this year where he never did any other year.
I think he was a good pick this year. I think what did him in last year is he went higher in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
If he had the same expectations last year that he has this year and went in maybe the third round, probably would have been a good year. He went higher. He dropped a little bit lower this year. Nobody has, he's not an RB1. He's an RB2, maybe an RB3. And that's what he's playing a little bit above that.
Yeah. I hate him. I had him the last 2 years. I hate him.
I like him.
I know you did. You hit him on every single mock. You hit him and Sanders, but I don't think you got him in either. Next game was the General versus chasing a championship. General had 116, so he hit that average. Joey did not at 97. Miles Sanders for 30. We just said it. The RB dead zone of Helaire and Sanders is paying off tremendously, and the guys like Cook, Najee, Eckler up until this week, Taylor, Henry till this week.
Yeah.
The elite running backs are doing bad, and the dead zone running backs are really blowing up. Other side, 30 out of Brady. I was interested to see that. 18 out of CD. Joey had a decent game, but you have to get over 100, I think, and Tags just keeps on rolling. He's 3-1, and he just has that winning touch, it seems.
Yeah, I think, I think this is what we thought would happen with Joey's team. It still looks like, when his receivers don't blow up, it's going to be tough for him to win just because it seems like there's a little bit of a weakness at running back and maybe a tight end. Who knows what Kittle's doing. Tags team, although they didn't put up huge numbers, he just did enough to get by, and he still has some injuries on the bench with Swift. So I think he'll be in good shape. He's going to lose Patterson, though, so he's been hit with some injuries, but ultimately I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think in a couple weeks, though, Swift will be back. Judy and Hamler, they have a Russell Wilson problem there. I don't know what you do with that. Christian Watson, I think the more he plays, the better he's going to be. I eventually think Juju breaks out. He's got a ton of routes, but no touchdowns. And then Olave. I think Olave is getting better and better. I think he's closing in on Rookie of the Year, and it's only week 4.
Yeah.
He's doing really well. Next game on the list, both teams again missed the average. Jack 114 beat you 99. So you and I are both on the losing end again. We had one good week. Now we're both 1-3, and here we are. Just quick look. Amari Cooper with 1 and Kyle Pitts with 3. Kyle Pitts is a thorn in your side again.
Yeah, we just talked about it. He's hurt this week. That may be a good thing. Now I don't have to start him. He was somebody I picked in the third round. I thought he would break out. It seems like Atlanta's playing a little better than they did last year. With no, star receiver, I don't know how why he's not being used. But it looks like he was in a bad pick at that position. Then the rest of my defense, which carried me the first week, also seems to be going downhill fast.
Yeah, I'm trying to look really quick at the stats. I guess the first week they had a ton of sacks, interceptions. Touchdown. Yeah, it just hasn't had that. I guess, was Watt the spark, or are they just not, is the offense holding them back and they're getting tired? They are They are stars and scrubs. I mean, you have Watt, Hayward, and Minka. I would even put and maybe this is only because like the Bud Dupree thing, but I think Hightower's pretty good.
Highsmith.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Hightower plays for
Used to play for the Patriots.
Patriots, yeah.
I think.
Ravens are supposed to draft them.
Yeah,
I don't like their corners. I made that clear. The secondary has Minka. The rest of the secondary is not good. Edmonds isn't good.
They're just not stopping the run. They're just letting teams do what they want.
Is Hayward hurt?
That's what I hear. Well, a lot of them were hurt this week.
Yeah, Minka was out. Yeah, I think this might have been a rest day.
Good thing I started Denver this week.
Yeah, Denver was a nice play there.
I'm trying to win this week, not follow my pride.
But on the other side, Stafford with 6. Dalton Schultz with 0. But then there it is again. The second tier, we'll say, Josh Jacobs got 34. He outproduced his, he was projected 12 and he came up with 34. And that was the difference there. That was the main difference. Debo with 24. I just saw that. So Debo's still doing his own thing. I think Debo's better with Garoppolo.
Yeah.
That's what scared me away from him. I didn't like Trey Lance. But
I think this team, now looking at Jack's team, it's built similar to Joey's team, if you ask me, where they have 2 stud receivers. I think the difference with Jack's team, though, is I think Jacobs, Elliott, and Connor are a little bit of a better trio than Joey's running backs. So when the receivers don't produce, he might still have a chance. In this case, they did. Nobody else did, and he ends up winning.
Jack got a pretty nice team. I remember thinking back that it wasn't very formidable, but looking at it now, the names are starting to come up. Debo's starting to play like Debo. Josh Jacobs is putting in his work. I think Connor might be hurt. Zeke, I'm still not 100% sure, but if you get that game out of Josh Jacobs, you can get a RB2 out of Zeke. That shouldn't be a problem. Next game, still agenda. Pat had 120. He beat the average. Abbott with 112. He was a little lower than the average. As far as Pat teams go, it's Justin Jefferson and the Eagles defense. Jalen Hurts with a down day with 14. Javonte Williams with 3, and he's done.
He's out now.
Yeah, I know Pat was very high on him. I liked him, but I didn't think he was a world beater. So he's going to have, I guess he has Ramondre and Kareem Hunt on his bench. Mostert, I think Mostert's going to start taking carries away from Edmonds, so he might be all right. Although with Khalil Herbert, when Montgomery comes back, he might have a running back issue coming up here. I'm just looking at.
I think you're right. Running back and tight end. I'm not sold on Higbee for the rest of the year. Definitely a running back issue. Good at receiver, good at quarterback. Hurts may be the MVP.
Yeah, I think it was Hurts and Lamar for a while, and Lamar had that really down game last week versus the Bills, although it is the Bills. But I think Hurts probably takes the lead at this point. Other side for Abbott, Kyler with 25. He came back a little bit. Deontay Johnson with 3. I'm curious. So Deontay Johnson was Ben's probably number 2. I'm going to say Najee was his number 1, but he got a ton of passing, and it looks like Pickett is heading more toward Pickens last half. So does that concern you at all with Deontay Johnson? And the fact he still drops passes on a regular?
Well, I think it might help him in the end because it looks like Pickett is just throwing the ball around a little bit more than Trubisky
I would agree with that completely.
In the first place. So I think he will go to Pickens more, so whoever has Pickens, I think they'll benefit. But I think Johnson will ultimately get his touches as well just because Pickett's going to throw the ball and not take sacks.
Yeah, and I have to assume paying him $18 million, you have to game plan a little bit for him to get him open. Next one, Stu, again, with a win. 4-0, looking strong. 148, and this is a tough luck game for Jeff. 0-4, he scored 132 points. He scored 16 more than the average, and he ran into the buzzsaw. I don't even know what to say about Jeff at this point. 132, and he's 0-4. Eckler finally broke out. He had his 31. Tyreek Hill at 22. Evans with 28. His defense with 20. Big issue though was Marcus Mariota had 2.
Yep.
That's a problem. You're chasing. I guess he's waiting for Dak to come back. He has Matt Ryan who put up 20. So if Matt Ryan goes in, that gives him the win. 30, 50. Yeah, that gives him the win. But it's easy to look back. Mariota was his stream of the week. All the outlets said he's going to be running in a bunch of touchdowns, and one play said he's going to account for 5 TDs, run for 3, throw for 2. I picked him up in guillotine. It didn't work.
And Matt Ryan, although he had a good game last week, he put up 4 points last night. So if he
he has to hope Dak comes back and not Dak coming back early from a finger injury like Russ did last year and was absolutely awful. Talking about Stu's team again like we do every week. Mahomes is great. Chubb's number one. Singletary was fine. Kupp is great. Now Kelsey's back, and he had 26 points out of his defense like he needs it. He's greedy. Bernie Sanders would hate him. He has all the riches. He's a 1%er. He's probably a cheater, just like the golfers or the fishermen and the chess players. I think he probably wore a device during the draft.
You think somebody was buzzing him?
In his asshole, no question. And what makes it even worse is Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably an RB wide receiver 1. He's on the bench. Dotson is, if it ain't Olave, Dotson, if he doesn't get hurt, he could be a rookie of the year. Kenneth Walker, every week that goes, Kenneth Walker's going to get more playing time. And he's sitting here with Trevor Lawrence and Mahomes and Fields. I'm not really sure why he still has Fields, but then again, what are you going to do? Drop him and pick up someone that's not going to crack your lineup? So
yeah, he's solid, and I think the guy on his team that is Devin Singletary that stands out to me. Buffalo always seems like they do the running back by committee, but the last 2 games Singletary's scored in double digits. I think if they can keep leaning on him a little bit more, that'll definitely help Stu out, because his biggest weakness would probably be that second running back.
Yeah.
But
so he had 11 carries last week, and that doesn't usually get you 11 points. I'd be interested this week. I mean, obviously you can throw in the Steelers, but their Achilles heel was that run game, so I'd be interested to see if Singletary gets play. And if he doesn't, do those carries go to Cook now? I don't know. He has both. He's looking all right. Last game was the Army of North Virginia. Kurt had 155. The week high was Kurt. Crumb Snatchers with 99.9. He faces his first loss. He lost the crown. Kurt has the crown again. Burrow with 23. Derrick Henry had his blow-up game. T.J. Hawkinson out of nowhere dropped 37 points. He had, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. T. Higgins with another 25. Palmer, however, Aaron Jones with 15. Cortland Sutton with 13. Zach Ertz with 13. Christian McCaffrey with 21. He put up an RB. He put up an old Christian McCaffrey game. Still isn't that 40 points like he used to get, but you've got to be happy seeing that. Palmer still was sitting with Keenan Allen on the bench, injured, and Damian Pierce with 27 points on the bench. That wasn't going to help him. He wasn't going to win, but it's still frustrating when you don't make the right move. So Palmer takes his first loss. Leafs Stu's the last undefeated team. How does that play out?
I'm starting to like Tim's team a little bit more.
Whoa. You want me to edit this out later?
James Robinson, he had a bad day, but overall he's had a good year. I really like, it seems like Damian Pierce is really turning it on. So Tim, I think, has 4 good running backs. Keenan Allen, if he gets healthy, he'll be all right. I still think Tim's weakness is the quarterback and maybe tight end. But I think he got a solid team. It's just you're not going to win when, the opposing tight end puts up close to 40 points.
I think that was the 4th highest tight end game in the history of fantasy football. All right, that wraps up last week. I'm trying to find the league activity. There was a couple of free agents. I don't think any huge splashes. I dropped the Colts defense just because I wanted to have an open roster spot.
Yeah, there was you picked up Tyler Algier.
Tyler Algier. I had him earlier and I dropped him, and then Patterson got hurt. The big thing, I guess, would be Matt Ryan got dropped, and Jeff added Geno Smith. He's chasing those points. You got to make a move somewhere. Pat added Kenny Pickett.
Good move.
Isaiah McKenzie, I guess he's going to be the slot receiver now for Buffalo. I grabbed Tyler Algier, Jared Goff, but for Palmer, nothing real wild. Zay Jones, Rashard White, Chuba Hubbard, nothing real crazy. Did we talk about the trade last week, right?
We did.
Yeah, it's still a bad trade. It didn't improve at all.
Have you talked to your brother to get his analysis on it?
I didn't. I want to, because I'm very interested to see what his thoughts were going in, so I can tell him why he was wrong. But, that's... I'm not surprised it's Joey and Pat. Pat, you typically praise on the week. And I think we saw it again. So, running into this week, week 5. First game on the docket is 1-3 myself versus 2-2 Kurt. I got 8 points out of Pittman yesterday. I was hoping for double digits, hoping for a late touchdown. Never came. 8 points. He was projected 12. I don't know what to expect out of him anymore. Kirk got good matchups again. T. Higgins and Burrow versus Baltimore. They put up 50-some points against them last year each. Tennessee versus Washington, so Derrick Henry probably won't get stopped. Steph Diggs versus Steelers. They can't cover him. They don't have the men on the roster to cover him. The only thing is Bateman might be hurt, and Hawkinson versus New England. I guess he could put in George Pickens. He doesn't have another tight end, but my side, I think my running backs are weak. I think Pittman put up a rather weak day, so I'm counting on Hollywood, Andrews, and Lamar, and that's basically how the rest of my year is going to go. I go as the Ravens go.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good matchup. You didn't get the biggest game out of Pittman, but nobody in that game last night played well at all. I think quarterback, you have the edge. Running back, I think he has it slightly with Henry. But Penny's been playing well, it seems like. Dobbs is a sleeper there for you. He's young. I think he has the better receivers with Diggs. But I think with the Andrews and Marquise Brown, I think it's close with Hawkinson and Higgins. I'm gonna go with you.
I'm taking myself also because it wouldn't be fun if I didn't think I could win. Next game is Joey 1-3 versus Jack 2-2. Jack's up 8-0. He got 8 points out of McManus, so that's a pretty good start. 8 points out of your kicker. Joey has, Breece Hall versus Miami. I don't think that's great. Chase Edmonds, period, I don't think is great, even though he's playing the Jets. But then he has Jamar Chase versus Baltimore and Jalen Waddle versus Jets. I don't know about Kittle. We mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
He always gets drafted with this upside, and he never seems to hit it. I do like CeeDee Lamb. However, I assume Ramsey's on Lamb, so I don't know what he's going to do this week. The other side, Daniel Jones is banged up, but he had a pretty decent game against Green Bay. Connor versus Philly's a catastrophe. Zeke versus Donald is a catastrophe. Devontae Adams versus KC, that should be decent. I assume that's going to go back and forth a lot.
Scoring.
Yeah, Carolina's not going to be able to stop Debo. Josh Jacobs versus KC. Actually, I think I kind of like Jack's matchups. I would definitely look for a better defense. I don't think the Ravens versus Cincy, that might be like a -2, -3 points that can really cost you. But I'm going to take Jack in the hopes that he replaces his defense at some point.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Jack too. Daniel Jones has been playing better than I think most people thought he would.
Yeah.
Brady's obviously Brady. I think Jack has a little advantage at running back. Like we said, these two teams are built alike. The receivers, I think, are a wash. Chase and Waddle versus Adams and Debo. Joey, I think, on paper, has a little advantage at tight end. Although Kittle, he's hurt, and then he hasn't really produced much yet. Lamb against Jacobs, I think Lamb might have a little bit of a higher upside, but Jacobs blew up last week. I think it's a pretty close matchup. I'm just going to go with Jack just based off of the running backs right now.
Yeah, I can see that. Next one is 2-2 Abbott versus 3-1 Tags. Abbott's up 11-6. He got 11 out of Melvin Gordon out of his flex, which I don't know why you put a Thursday guy in your flex spot. Now that flex is locked up, but maybe he doesn't need it. And then the general got 6 points out of Judy. So like you said earlier, I got 7 out of Pittman. He got 6 out of Judy. Wasn't a banner day for the receivers on that side. Breaking down the game, Kyler versus Philly is going to be tough. Mixon versus Baltimore. I guess Mixon's getting a lot of carry, but not a lot of touchdowns at all. So I like Leonard Fournette, but everyone's saying to get his backup now. I don't know if he's banged up a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on there. Thielen and Lockett, he has 2 decent number 2s, but I don't think it's anything fantastic. We talked about Melvin Gordon. On Tagmar's side, he's always going to roll with Josh Allen. Josh Allen should have a pretty good day against the Steelers defense. Cook versus Chicago. Not that I'm rooting against you or Tagmar or Dalvin Cook personally, because I had him last year, like I said. But I wouldn't hate Roquan Smith just blow his shoulder just out, and then his arms laying on the field, and that would just be something. So Dalvin Cook, and if he can avoid Roquan Smith, I don't think anyone else on Chicago can stop him. Miles Sanders versus Arizona. Arizona, I was going to ask you if the Colts are the biggest disappointment, but we kind of knew when they lost to Jacksonville last year that they weren't a great team. Arizona, however, signed their general manager, their coach. Kyler got a huge contract. They're a catastrophe.
Yeah.
I don't think Hopkins coming back is going to make them a Super Bowl contender. He's going to help, but he's an older receiver, busted for PEDs, hasn't played in 6 weeks. So he's not going to step right in and go 8 for 200 with 2 touchdowns, Like we talked about, Mike Williams versus Cleveland. Mike Williams is boom or bust. This could be the boom game. Cleveland's defense is not what it was supposed to be at the beginning of the year. Freiermuth versus Buffalo. I kind of think this is a Freiermuth game, only because I don't know that Pickett's going to have the time to look outside, and he might just pond that middle. Olave versus Seattle. I think if I'm going to pick a high scorer for Tagmar's team, it's going to be Olave. I really do think he's going to get better, and he's going to turn into a dynamic player if he's not already. That all being said, as much as I hate it, I am going to take Tagmar, and he will improve his record to 4-1.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go the opposite way.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Abbott. I think the top of their lineups are pretty even. Kyler versus Allen. Allen, you would think, is going to put up a little more, but, Kyler's due to break out. I think every week he seems to get a little better. Mixon and Fournette against Cook and Sanders. I think that's pretty even. Judy putting up the 6.8 points. I think that... Abbott has 2 number 2s. I think Tags has 2 number 2s starting in there now too. Judy, he's not been playing great this year. He had 1 good game, I think. Williams, he has a little bit of a higher boom, but he's still of a higher number 2. I think that the fact that Gordon just was able to outscore Judy last night is why I'm going with Abbott. Yeah,
I agree with that. But that being said, I would think Kyler and Josh Allen, like you said, Allen might have a slight edge. I think Allen has a little bit of a larger edge. Mixon and Fournette versus Cook and Sanders, probably Mixon Fournette by a touch. Mike Williams and Judy versus Lockett and Thielen, I probably lean more toward Tagmar. But to me, the big difference is Olave versus a 11-point Melvin Gordon. And that's where, Olave could put up 30, and that's where... Yeah, if everyone does what they're supposed to, Olave puts up 30.
Who is their quarterback?
Jameis is supposed to come back, but I don't know if you want an injured Jameis or a healthy Dalton. I mean, I think Jameis is better because he'll throw 50 times a day and just not care and just chuck it up. But I think Michael Thomas is still out, and I don't think Landry's anything to write home about. So Olave is their number 1. The only thing that might help, I guess, if Kamara comes back, maybe it's hard. I mean, because they have to watch the pass if Kamara's not playing. Next big game here is the Battle of the Brothers. The Sills 3-1 Pat, 3-1 Patrick versus 1-3 Marcus. Is it Marcus? Marcus? Or is it just Mark?
M-A-R-C.
That's it, no Marcus? Mm-hmm. I thought that's what the C was for because it's not like M-A-R-K-U-S.
No, it's just for Mark.
Jalen Hurts versus Arizona should be a bloodbath. Ramondre Stevenson. See, like we said before about Dalvin Cook, like how you and Tagmar had that connection with Cook and Guillotine in here. I bid on Ramondre Stevenson last week, and Melissa sniped me, and now I didn't realize that Pat had him. So there's that Sill connection.
They must talk about him at dinner.
Speaking to Melissa, I don't think she talks to Pat about anything about football. In fact, if he says something, she does the opposite from what I understand. A.J. Dillon has kind of had a quieter year, but again, that's at 9:30 Sunday.
Yeah.
I wish I had a player in that. That would be fun. Justin Jefferson versus Chicago. Again, if Roquan Smith doesn't kill Cook, I don't think anyone's going to be stopped in that game. A.J. Brown versus terrible Arizona. Pat got some pretty solid matchups. Godwin versus Atlanta. I guess this does what's his name on Atlanta the corner? Is that Gardner? Or no? Who's the guy they drafted last year? He's really good, and I forgot his name off to think about it. He is on fire. He's like one of the better corners in the league, and he'll be a shutdown elite corner soon. I wonder if he's on Godwin because Evans is just too big to man up on. Other side, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has had a very pedestrian, you're not in Jeff's category, but drafting Aaron Rodgers after 2 MVPs, I don't see a drop as fast as it happened, but I think that probably has a lot to do with Devontae. Just talk about Kamara. If he comes back, he's a star. Barkley, that's going to be fun watching Barkley versus Green Bay on Sunday morning, unless you have a field to go to.
I do.
DK and Cooper. DK I don't love, I guess Latimer's probably on Metcalf. Cooper versus the Chargers is their corner back yet? Is that J.C. Jackson? Is Jackson back yet for?
I don't know.
They made all these moves and they got a ton of injuries and they're not. I mean, their average are very. I think they were better last year. Talked about Gibson versus Tennessee. I kind of like Tennessee's defense. I don't know if they're good or not, but then you got the story of the day. 18 points out of your defense. I think prior to last night, I'd probably take Pat, but getting 18 out of your defense, that's pretty solid. And you got a lot of guys Sunday morning, and those games are weird though. They could go either way. He has Jefferson Sunday morning. I am going to go with Pat still. Tell me how you win this one.
Well, I mean, even if Kamara's out, I'm going to move Gibson up and put Robert Woods in there. He's been playing well, but otherwise, Barkley's probably.
Oh, you're rooting for that Cook injury because you have Madison.
Yeah, I am. Oh, in this league I am, but in guillotine, I'm kind of.
You're on a slippery slope.
Rodgers, I think every week he's getting better with the new receivers.
I screwed up, by the way. The white cans are plain water. The black cans are sparkling water. I do not like sparkling water.
I can't taste much of a difference.
You sick? It definitely, there's bubbles. You can taste it.
I mean, there's bubbles, but...
Yeah, it's okay. So Kyle Pitts is on the bench. You have an injured Kyle Pitts, an injured Michael Thomas, and a suspended Hopkins.
I got a lot of upside. Rodgers is going like this. DK Metcalf is going like this. Amari Cooper, he's kind of up and down. Antonio Gibson, I think he's good.
Will Antonio Gibson remain on your team in the next few weeks?
Oh, for sure. Antonio Gibson, he's a starter there.
I'm not saying is he good or bad. I'm not saying you're going to cut him. I'm saying...
Am I going to trade him?
You're going to trade him.
I mean, if somebody...
I've heard rumblings.
He scores double-digit points 3 out of 4 games. Yep. I mean, everyone's on the block when you're 1-3.
I don't
just
disagree with that.
Just got to have a taker.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with myself, especially with the 18 points. I had to drop my D for my new D. And my new D performed.
They very much did. You have a good eye for talent for D. You can pick a good D. Very much. I've always thought that about you. Next game. Surprisingly, Bry is 2-2. Surprisingly, Jeff is 0-4. Man, this is a get-right game for Jeff, I think. He has Geno Smith in versus a tough New Orleans defense, but you got to do something. Eckler versus Cleveland. We just talked about Cleveland. Jeff Wilson, starter for the San Francisco 49ers versus they say Carolina's defense is good, but, their offense is bad enough where if the Steelers' defense is good, their offense is bad enough where it just kills them. Tyreek versus Jets is going to be good. Evans versus Atlanta. I don't know how this team is 0-4. Geno Smith, whatever. I stream quarterbacks all the time. It's not the end of the world. Who was last week's number 1 quarterback? Geno was last week's number 1. Tannehill was up. Mariota's been up there for a while. Daniel Jones is up there. Then you have guys like Rodgers and some of these other
Lamar.
higher tier guys that Lamar had a bad game last week, so I don't mind the quarterback. Eckler was down, but it looks like he's doing decent now. Wilson's an added bonus, but you're telling me Hill, Evans, and Devonta Smith, and he's 0-4.
Yeah, and even looking at, I just looked it up, Gerald Everett.
Gerald Everett has been very steady.
He's the 5th rated tight end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Jeff Wilson Jr., you don't think He's a solid RB2 at this point. Yeah, maybe some bad luck.
Clearly, I wouldn't go back and look how many times he's beat the average, but lost a game because he's putting up points. It's just not working. It's just one of them years. Other side, Herbert versus Cleveland should be good. Dobbins looked pretty good last week. Justice Hill got hurt. Gus Edwards is back, but I think they'd love to see Justice Hill help Dobbins split a little bit. Another big game out of Jamal Williams until Swift comes back. I assume they hold Swift out until after the bye week. I think it's in a week or two. So, McLaurin. So you and I have had discussions about McLaurin in the past. I sort of said that he was more glitz than, he's more bark than bite. He's never had more than 4 touchdowns, and this year they're just, I don't know if it's Wentz, I don't know if it's Dotson. It's clearly Curtis Samuel's taken away from him. Are you still high on McLaurin? I mean, he's 13 points, 10 points, 15, but last week 2. So.
I'm not as high on him now, especially with Dotson and Samuel. I especially with Bry, I think he needs maybe a receiver 1. I think
I was going to say
McLaurin
McLaurin and Gabe Davis. As much as I like Gabe Davis, he's currently the 62nd receiver. Is he even playing this week?
Speaking of that, so notice on the Rough Cats bench is a player that I really like, who he's not even starting anymore.
He's benched Najee.
So I offered him a trade of 2 receivers for Najee. In all the trade analyzers, it actually said that I lost the deal.
Would you like to indulge that trade on here?
It was Amari Cooper
Okay.
and Robert Woods for Najee. All of the analyzers say that I lost the deal.
What if he... Let me go back to your team. What if he...
And now he's my most disliked person in the league because of it.
Bry?
Yes.
What if I was Brian and I came back and said, give me Cooper and D-Hop for Najee? I think you're both taking a risk. Hopkins Hopkins has upside.
Yeah.
But he is...
I would think about it. I would think hard and long about it.
So what I hate when I offer a trade and they say no. Throw me back something, just so we know. Or are we close? Is it worth it? And that's I always like the low ball trade to try to get to a better deal.
Well, I thought it.
It's a reasonable trade
because he needs receivers.
He does need receivers, but I think he's getting more quantity than quality with that trade. So if you give him a high upside guy like maybe a Hopkins,
yeah, Or if I put in DK instead of Amari,
I mean. So, week 12 is when Watson comes back? I think there's only 14 weeks for us, so that doesn't really work. Hopkins has, one more week?
Yeah. 2, yeah.
Oh, this is week 5 and 6. Yeah, 5 and 6. I'd be interested to see if maybe that sparks something else. But I always offer a trade, you decline it and counter, just see where we're at. That's the fun part to me.
Yeah. I think I sent Bry Guy a message and I told him my 5 most disliked people in the league.
5?
Bry Guy, Bry Guy, Bry Guy, Bry Guy,
and Palmer. That's interesting though. That takes a lot of balls. I mean, Najee does have a tough matchup, but I guess you're not. You definitely can't take out Hilaire or Williams. Maybe Dobbins, but he looked decent last week, and it's an 8:20 game, so a lot can happen between now and then. I don't think Dobbins is practicing, but I think that's just a rest thing.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
But then you got Najee on the bench. He's your first-round pick. You got to be pretty displeased to bench your first-rounder. That all being said, congratulations, Jeff. You're getting your first win this week because clearly Brian is angering the fantasy gods.
I'm going to go with Bry Guy.
Tough luck, Jeff. Do we have one more game, I think? Yeah. Who's Kurt play? Kurt plays me. Oh, for the crown. Okay, welcome. Maybe I get the crown next week. Maybe
do we do Palmer and Stu?
It's Palmer and Stu's the last game. I was looking because I know Palmer had the crown. He lost it. 3-1 Crumb Snatchers, Tim Palmer versus 4-0 Dirty Sanchez, Nicholas Schreiner. Palmer's up 9.9 nothing. Cortland Sutton, you cannot be happy with that. You drafted Sutton and Judy to sort of be wide receiver ones. I drafted Pittman to be a wide receiver one. All three of them are currently not holding up their end of the deal. He has Derek Carr versus Kansas City. Christian McCaffrey versus San Francisco. All right, we'll take the Steelers out of it. Who has the best defense in the league?
Well, I mean, San Fran had the best week last week.
Yeah, two defenses come to my mind. Philly, San Fran, and probably Buffalo when they're 100% healthy. But with Baker, they aren't going to be saying, okay, we have to hang back and watch Baker. It's going to be we're stopping McCaffrey and Baker beats us, and I don't know that that's going to happen. I listened to a Ravens podcast where they just signed Andy Isabella live when they were doing the podcast, and they were less than pleased. They keep hearing rumors of a deal with Carolina to get either DJ Moore or you're my favorite Robbie Anderson.
Ooh.
And I would love that. If I could come back with a Robbie Anderson Ravens jersey, that would be interesting. I think DJ Moore's much better.
What if they got Robbie Anderson?
They got both of them. And McCaffrey for Lamar and 25 first-round picks. I'll take Huntley. I'll take that deal.
I think Carolina wins it.
Carolina, you can't put Carolina and wins in any sentence at all. Do they have a baseball team? No.
No.
Hockey, Hurricane. Yeah, they don't. Do they have a basketball team? No.
Charlotte.
Hornets, yeah. Or what are they? They're not the Hornets, are they? Not anymore. Bobcats.
No, they're the Hornets.
So they were Hornets, Bobcats, Hornets?
Yeah. Because New Orleans is the Pelicans.
The Hornets moved to New Orleans. They got a team back.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen, is he playing this week? I don't even know if he's playing. He's projected 0, so way to go, Palmer. Nice move. I'm not going to get into this game. He's the worst 3-1 team. The Giants are 3-1. I still think Palmer's worse.
Yeah.
Stu's going to wash this. What's the projections?
Stu wins
100 to 135. It's not. He could take a player out and still win. I'm taking Stu.
Stu by 50.
Boy.
Palmer's,
his team is respectable. It's just he got bad matchups. Robinson
he needs to make some moves. He has some good pieces on the bench that he can't put them in the lineup, or if he's not putting them in the lineup, he needs to make a move to upgrade some other positions.
Yeah, Jared Goff and Carr. New England, KC. Yeah, I think Carr goes in. I think that's a good move. James Robinson. I don't know, man. I wonder if. I think in 3 weeks we're not talking about James Robinson anymore. I think he's, as much as I do like him, I think he's talented. I don't think they know how to use him. I think they want Travis Etienne. Unlike Guy, they won't bench their first round pick. Well, that wraps it up, and we're talking about everyone's favorite part of the show now.
Power rankings.
The power rankings. I'll try to bring up the. You can start if you want.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not much change at the bottom. Number 12, we talked about it. Got a good team, or at least so we thought. 0-4, Jeff. Number 11, same thing. No change from last week. Lost again. Joey chasing the championship. 1-3. He's not going to move up.
So his trade obviously didn't help his team.
No, not at all.
No.
Didn't help in the power rankings. Didn't help in the real schedule. Didn't help at all. Number 10 dropping this week after losing to Jack is me, the Ben's Baloney Boppers. Still think my team's on the right side. I still think it's climbing the mountain. We're about to make a run now, but can't move up if you don't win. 9 is Jack. He won last week. He bumps up a spot. Coming at number 8 and dropping is Batting Lawn. We moved you up last week. Had you on the edge of the playoffs there. Then you lost just like me, so you're falling. Also falling is Quarantine. He's been kind of jumping around the middle of the pack here. Same thing, lost last week. He's dropping down. Rough Cats, it's coming in at 6. Guy moved up. We talked about it. He has great depth at running back. Still needs a receiver. Dropping this week at 5, all the way from 2, are the Crumb Snatchers.
Oh boy.
We talked about it last week. We had to move him up. He was undefeated. We said, when he lost, he was going to fall. Weren't high on his team. He lost. His team's fallen. He might fall even further next week. Moving up to number 4 is the Army of Northern Virginia. Coming in at number 3 and falling is the Sil Agenda. He lost, and I think he lost his starting running back in Javonte Williams, so he might be falling a little bit more too. Coming in at number 2 and moving up, but will be unhappy, is the General.
It's hard to put him at 1 when there's an undefeated team.
And at 1 is Dirty Sanchez.
There's no signs of him slowing down either.
Not at all. He has a solid lineup, solid bench. Was he stuffing, lead in his belly? Was he stuffing something up his ass? Did he have somebody in his ear? Who knows? But
whatever it was, it worked. All right. Well, watch any shows this week?
I watched Dahmer.
How good is that?
It was great.
It was freaky, but it was really good. Do you think? So we met at Getaway with Vinny, and Vinny did mention Liquid Death, and watching Vinny's pattern of drinking and Dahmer's pattern of drinking, do you think that we should be concerned that Vinny might be putting people in his sauce or anything?
I
They
don't
drink
know.
a lot.
I don't think Vinny's putting people in his sauce. If I was a betting man, I would say Vinny is putting people in the river.
Yeah, I think that's convenient for his job.
It's convenient for his job. It's convenient it happens once a month.
It's both.
Yeah,
Very much so.
if I was a betting man at, Tim, but then you also have a guy that used to be in the league, a friend of ours, Jake, who all has a skinning shed. He has a similar setup in his basement. Just imagine those smells permeating through the house. Somehow he's used to it as well. So
I think they both had homosexual tendencies as well. All right, with that, I think we're done. Good luck, most people. Not good luck to Bri. Not good luck to whoever I'm playing. Not good luck to Pat. Not good luck to Stu. I don't think he needs it, though.
Not good luck to Tags either.
Yeah, there's a half the league I want to see win, and they're all in my division at this point, so I don't like my new division.
Well,
You like yours? Does it matter?
you know what? It's not very good, so I'd like it because my team's bad at this point, and I still have a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, every time I see Stu win, I'm like, oh, maybe second place. All right. Well, that's it for us this week. I don't know. I think I'm on day shift next week, so probably go live again. Maybe we could do it like an Instagram live while we watch the game. That was everyone's big thing yesterday. McAfee did a watch along last week. The fantasy football show I did a watch along with the first half. I think they were supposed to do the whole game yesterday, but I think they kind of pulled the plug after the first half.
It was so bad.
Yeah. But anything? What's your prediction for the Steeler game this week?
Steelers 35, Buffalo
If they
17.
Is it hard being wrong as much as you are about the Steelers up to this point?
After a while, you get used to it.
Yeah. I remember you specifically telling me they have 3 quarterback ones. Trubisky,
Well, now they got the second one's in there.
Maybe they have one. Pickett might be, although he throws 30% of his passes get intercepted.
But none hit the ground.
It does hit the ground? The pitches when he tries to pitch into the running back. So, I mean, pick your poison there. I'd be interested to see. Najee's hurt. Claypool stinks. Is Claypool, do you consider... So, the first year, everyone's going to talk about 12-0, and he had, 9 touchdowns or 8 touchdowns. But they were obviously gimmicky. Ben's inflating his numbers like he did with AB when he needed that 5 catches record. Are you happy with the output Claypool's giving you? He did not help. I think the ball was underthrown, but he's the weakest 6'5".
He tried to catch it with Tagmeyer arms.
Yeah.
Or Stu arms, the alligator arms, the little guy. You can't.
Yeah.
He's 6'5", just extend.
Get up there and get it. I like the way the way Judge plays Aaron Judge. That's what Polanco was predicted to us because he was such a big player, had such a big swing, and it never panned out. And Judge just broke the AL record. Same thing with, not that Claypool was going to be DK Metcalf, but he's the weakest, smallest 6'5" player in the league. But we'll see this week. So you're 35-17. I'm going to probably...
What is your score? Buffalo got a lot of injuries.
Their safeties are hurt, but then Pittsburgh can't throw. I don't think Pickett's going to have time to throw, unfortunately. He might not finish the game this week. He does hang in for hits. He did it at Pitt, and he did it against the Jets. And
Najee's going to have 2 touchdowns, and Pickett's going to have 3.
So they'll lose 77-35, all in garbage time. All right, I'm out of here. Give your sign off.
Adios.
All right, till next week.